Let's get to it, huh? Carol, Betty, Clark, Demian, Melinda, Lynn, Cat. So, Kat, I will say, brought to my attention some frauds that are on Substack, people who use my name and then put some numbers after my name, and apparently have sent messages to some of you all, including Kat, asking to contact me on WhatsApp or here or there or anywhere. Can I ask? So, you all are the Team Justice Fraud Squad at this point. Can I ask for your help anytime you come across what is clearly an imposter? You know, Glenn Kirshner with a bunch of numbers or symbols after the name, even using my picture, which they always do, and they'll post a couple of my videos or live chats. Please just report it as an imposter, because y'all, it won't be me. I will never ask anybody to contact me on WhatsApp or send me money or do anything. So if I can deputize you all as the Team Justice Fraud Squad and help me with that, I would greatly appreciate it. We have frauds and imposters across all platforms, and we spend time every day trying to attack them, report them, take them down, and it's infuriating, but I guess it is part of the social media age. So thank you to Kat, and thank you to all of you who are willing to help me in that endeavor. All right. So we've got Lynn, Kat, Melissa, Dr. Lisa, Deb, Dr. Joe, Mary Beth, Sarah, Jeanette, Jeff, Joanne, Lori, um, Zamina. Am I pronouncing that? Zamina Navajas. Boy, I mangled that one. Sorry. Trish, Tara, Catherine, Juniper, Denny, Chris 1223, Heidi, Donna, Nancy, Holly, Katrina, Gerald, Susan, Debbie, Heidi G, Tara, Betty. Hey, Diane. Hey, there's no way I'm going to get through. Hello, Warren. I'm going to get through all your names. And hello, Judine. And that's a good thing because I appreciate y'all jumping on, and I can't wait to get after Kash Patel, that unqualified SOB. Hello, Janet, Adrian, Jan. Let me get through some more names. Hello, Kimmy. Um, let's see. Susie Q, MJ, Joy, Richard, Dale, Donna, Demian again, Susan, Catherine, Maggie, Earl, Leslie, Teresa, Natasha, Deborah, Cairo, Jeff, Lori, Trisha, Colleen, Elizabeth, Susan, Natasha, Mary. Hello, Mary. Marie, Carol, Design Diva. Hello, Design Diva. Eagle. Are you new, Eagle? I don't remember Eagle previously. I may have missed your name. Linda, Mary Beth. All right. It's so good to see all your names. Report and block. Do it all day. I love it. Jean, I love it. Angela, Lori, Kathy with a C and an I at the end. Paula. Um, all right. Bob, Dimitri. All right. Um, oh boy, Judine says no. Judine says that she gets people daily saying that they're me. Thank you for reporting them every time, as you say you do there. Thank you. It takes a village. It takes the fraud squad, the Team Justice Fraud Squad. So I wish I had like badges or stickers I could send you all. All right, everybody. It looks like we're going to need a countdown, aren't we? Let's see. Yeah, I can't wait to get after Kash Patel. Bob's got it. 3, 2, 1. All right. Good evening, everybody. Happy Friday. We made it. We make it to the weekend, but the legal horror show doesn't seem to let up, does it? It's relentless. 24/7, 365 at this point. Relentless. And we have to be just as relentless fighting it. And we are. You are. I know. So I can't wait to get after Kash Patel. What an unqualified hump this guy is. So I want to take on two legal stories because they dovetail beautifully and they prove indisputably, I would even say beyond a reasonable doubt, that Kash Patel is dangerously unfit to serve as the director of the FBI. He is unfit to lead. And he has proved that a couple of times over. Here's how. So, first of all, I'm going to start with his badly bungling the Charlie Kirk investigation. And then we're going to jump over to the lawsuit that was filed against him. And then we're going to bring those two things together. So, first of all, in the very early stages of the investigation, what did Kash Patel do? He he posted on social media, "We've got the suspect in custody. We got the guy." You know, he didn't post mission accomplished, but he might as well have. We've got the guy in custody. And he was wrong. He now tells us he was wrong. Think about this. He wanted everybody to believe the first guy was the shooter. He was sure of it, so sure that he posted it for the world to see. Now he wants us to believe, oh, no, no, no. It wasn't the first guy that I told you it was. It was the second guy. Yeah, that's the ticket. It's this guy. And it may very well be this guy. But can I talk to you all for a minute, quick Team Justice Law School class, on the third party perpetrator defense? If any of you all are unfortunate enough to be a lawyer like I am, why would anybody want? Place is lousy with lawyers. We got so dang many lawyers in this country. The third party perpetrator defense, particularly in violent crime cases, homicide cases, is deployed early and often by defense attorneys, appropriately so. They're zealously representing the interests of their clients. Here's what the third party perpetrator defense looks like. You try to persuade the jury, ladies and gentlemen, it was not my client. It was a third party. It was somebody else. And maybe the government is mistaken. Maybe the eyewitnesses didn't get the good look they thought they got. Maybe there's a conspiracy to frame my client. Lots of possible reasons. But the reality is my client didn't commit the crime. A third party perpetrator did. Friends, stick with me here. God, I miss the courtroom. Here is what will happen if the person that they now have in custody, that Kash Patel said, "Oh, it wasn't the first guy I told you it was. It's really this guy." And again, it may be. Here is what that person's lawyer will do if this guy, if there's enough evidence to indict him and take him to trial. Here is what his attorney will do. In their defense, they will call to the stand Director of the FBI, Kash Patel. At that point, let's hope that it's former Director of the FBI, Kash Patel. And given some reporting from Reuters that allegedly is coming out of the White House, though an unnamed source, it looks like Kash Patel's days may be numbered. That's good news for a Friday night. That's a point of light. I know he's the devil we know, and we don't know who we'll be getting next, but Kash Patel is dangerously unfit to serve as FBI director. So I hope he goes, and I hope he goes soon. They'll call him to the stand, and you know what they will do? You know how they will examine him? Mr. Former Director, Mr. Patel, you posted on social media, you've got the shooter in custody. You've got the suspect in custody, didn't you? And no director of the FBI would ever post something like that for all the world to see without very strong, rock solid, conclusive evidence that that first guy that you announced to the world was the shooter was in fact the shooter. You had to have rock solid evidence because, Mr. Patel, it would be reckless. It would be incompetent. It would be inexcusable if you posted for all the world to see that you've got the shooter in custody if you didn't have definitive evidence that, in fact, you had the shooter in custody. Isn't that right? Friend, and what the examination would go on to include is the person that you posted is the shooter that you have in custody. That's not my client. That is not the man you see sitting here at counsel table in this courtroom. Isn't that right? You said somebody else was the shooter, and you must have said that based on strong evidence. that the first person you took into custody was, in fact, the shooter. So, what has the defense attorney succeeded in doing? Put Kash Patel in a box where either he'll have to admit that he was wrong and reckless and incompetent and didn't have adequate evidence to announce that the first person that they had in custody was the shooter, or he was right and the first person in custody had in custody was the shooter, not the defendant on trial. Now, friends, I'm not pretending that that will necessarily be a winning defense such that all 12 jurors will say, oh, okay, that persuades me. I'm going to vote not guilty. But that's not what the defense attorney will need to accomplish. All the defense attorney will need to do is create a little bit of doubt, some reasonable doubt in the mind of one of the 12 jurors. And now you have what? You have a hung jury and a mistrial, all because of Kash Patel's incompetence and recklessness and unfitness. He bungled this thing badly. I have heard reporting and quotes from several retired FBI special agents and officials who said never, never in their memory, never in our nation's history has an FBI director sent a statement out in the, when the investigation is in its infancy. We've got the guy in custody. You don't do it. It's not done, particularly when you're effing wrong about it. Kash Patel, dangerously unfit to lead. And here's the thing, friends. Listen to what a White House official said about Kash Patel bungling the investigation. This is a quote from some Reuters reporting. A White House source granted anonymity said that Kash Patel's performance is really not acceptable to the White House or the American people and will be addressed. It sounds like Donald Trump may soon be introducing Kash Patel to the undercarriage of a bus. Because on the one hand, yeah, Trump and company doubled down on idiots, incompetents, and imbeciles that Trump has populated his executive branch with. But when they make Donald Trump look like dog shit, that's when Donald Trump has got to throw him under the bus. And boy, Kash Patel made the FBI a laughing stock by doing what he did. So, yeah, I think Dr. Joe just said he's on borrowed time if I saw that statement. Uh, Claire says she loves when my jersey comes out. Yeah, I'm a gutter kid from Jersey. What can I say? But can I tell you, friends, this is the way I talk to my juries too. I didn't, talk like I'm some scholar or some deep thinker. I talked with my juries the way I talk with my friends and family around the kitchen table, because I think that's how best to persuade. And here's the other thing: I screwed up in court all the time. I was in court for 30 years trying cases. I never left the courtroom. I took time out for meals, of course, but I rarely left the courtroom. Even when I was a supervisor, I carried a full caseload. And I screwed up a lot. I made mistakes. I stumbled and fumbled over my words. I had to correct myself from time to time. And I always tried to bring the jury in, on the joke. And I made a joke of my own failings and foibles. And I happen to believe that when juries think you're not some highfalutin lawyer who thinks he's too good to make mistakes or admit his mistakes, I think, they appreciate that. Just be a real person, right? Um, but I miss the courtroom. God, I miss the courtroom. Here's the second story that I wanted to talk about, because this is a doozy, and I alluded to it, I think last night, maybe the night before. This has been out for about 2 days now, but this is where the dovetailing comes in. His bungling the investigation badly, making a mockery of the FBI and making the White House look bad in the process. And Kash Patel fired a number of very accomplished, experienced, veteran FBI agents, special agents, supervisory agents, and officials, and they're not going to take it lying down. So they filed a lawsuit. And the defendants in the lawsuit are, here it is here, if you haven't had a chance to see it online, it is three FBI special agents and supervisors, Brian Driscoll, Stephen Jensen, and Spencer Evans. And the defendants are Kash Patel, the FBI, Pam Bondi, the Department of Justice, the Executive Office of the President, essentially Donald Trump, though he's not named. And can I just tell you, friends, if you have a chance to read the first couple of pages of this lawsuit, you can find it linked to any number of news articles online. Read the first couple of pages. It's quick, easy reading, because what these FBI, really accomplished FBI agents set out is that Kash Patel told them, look, I've got to fire you. Because basically, for political reasons, the White House and Donald Trump, they want everybody fired who had anything to do with investigating the crimes of Donald Trump, which is horrific. I mean, when you're given an assignment to investigate the crimes of anybody, including high government officials and the president, and Donald Trump committed more crimes than, you can shake a stick at. If when you're fired for doing the job you were assigned to do and doing it well, that's insane and unlawful. So in this lawsuit, the agents say Kash Patel said, and they quote him, I know these firings are unlawful. I know I'm going to probably or could be sued because these are wrongful terminations. And here's what Kash Patel said that makes him the anti-leader, the anti-supervisor. He said, look, guys, I have to fire you if I want to keep my job. You know, anything I may know about leading people, supervising people, I probably learned in the Army. I had the privilege, I had the honor of leading some men and women in the Army. I had the privilege and the honor of leading men and women at the Department of Justice, specifically at the United States Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia, where I was chief of homicide and I had about 30 homicide prosecutors under my supervision. That was a privilege. That was an honor and a weighty responsibility. But what I learned in the Army about leading, about supervising, is the three most important rules about supervising people, leading people. Support your people, support your people, and support your people. And think about what Kash Patel did. He said, I know firing you would be unlawful. And I know I may get sued because of it. But if I want to keep my job, I have to wrongfully terminate you all. The anti-supervisor, the anti-leader. That is disgusting. It's despicable. It's cowardly. It's depraved. He should have said, I will not fire good, accomplished, hardworking, dedicated, experienced special agents, supervisors, and officials. I will stand up for them, the people I supervise, and I will take the consequences. That's what leaders do. That's what true supervisors do. Kash Patel is a fucking worm. A worm. With apologies to worms, right? They keep the soil churning and they fertilize it and they actually provide a service. Kash Patel provides no service. Let me amend that. He's lower than whale shit. That's how low he is, given what he did. And in this lawsuit that was brought against him, he also makes Donald Trump look bad because he basically concedes that these are political firings that the boss is requiring me to do. So I think when you take him making Donald Trump look bad in the lawsuit together with him bungling a high profile investigation, you put those things together, it equals bye bye, Cash. Bye bye. Go back to your little podcast, sell your little merchandise. I went to Kash Patel's online merch shop. He sells something called Kash Patel Punisher socks. I'm not making that up. Punisher socks. What? How are you punishing people with your socks? Is it the smell, Cash? I don't. Punisher socks. But all the best directors of the FBI have merch shops, don't they? My God, what a spot we're in as a nation, right? What a spot we're. Punisher socks. I don't know if he's. I hope he took his merch shop down when he became director of the FBI, but I don't know. Before he was director, he was selling Kash Patel Punisher socks. All right, friends. I think that's all I've got. I think that's all I've got in me for tonight. I appreciate you jumping on. I appreciate you reporting the fraud. Thank you for being our Team Justice Fraud Squad. It takes a team. Um, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday night. I hope you have a great weekend planned ahead of you. Yeah, I'm pretty darn sure I'll be jumping on tomorrow night with you all because there are other legal developments that I just haven't gotten to. Um, but we'll take them on this weekend. All right, everybody. I'll see you all tomorrow.